The Empress Livia.
Mother, do sit down. Stay with us, Sir Janus.
No.
Are we to talk secrets?
Perhaps.
I have no secrets from Sir Janus.
Perhaps I have.
Mother, I'm learning only slowly how to be an emperor, but one thing I have learned by now. I need someone who is in my confidence.
No one is in your confidence.
At least I need someone who remembers what I've said. Stay with us, Sir Janus.
Thank you, Caesar.
May I ask why you've called? Your visits always have a purpose.
What are you going to do about Germanicus?
Do? I've already done what is proper. I've awarded him a triumphal procession. It took place this afternoon. Did you attend?
No.
Nor I.
Hail, Germanicus! Hail, brother.
Drunk.
So I see.
Aren't you drunk? I'd be drunk if I were you. Triumph. Glory.
Yes.
What does it feel like having a triumph?
Oh, you ride through the streets, and the people cheer.
Hail, Germanicus!
Further, to celebrate his victories over the Germans, I have allowed the erection of a number of statues. I have distributed
300 sesterces a head.
to the population of Rome. Do you think I should do more?
Less. Why are you raising him up like this?
He is my adopted heir, by decree of the divine Augustus.
I know.
He is also the darling of Rome.
Well, they love him because he's pretty.
It is useful for a ruler to be loved.
Look, you don't want that ninny on the throne of Rome. By popular acclaim, by popular uprising, and yourself in exile, or worse. Look, Germanicus loves fighting, at least he loves rushing around at the head of his troops, waving his sword. Well, send him back to Germany. Let him get himself killed.
Sir Janus, would you see the Empress to her carriage?
I warn you, do it, or you'll regret it.
I have never felt that women should meddle in politics. They're too much swayed by personal feelings.
Augustus took my advice and was glad of it.
You were his wife. You are not mine.
Tiberius, are you trying to deny me any part in the governing of this empire?
Yes, Mother.
And you, standing in your chariot. They wouldn't even let me serve in the army.
Poor Claudius.
When you're emperor, will you let me?
We'll see, huh?
No, promise, will you let me?
What's he begging for this time?
Nothing!
I've guessed. He wants a triumph, too. Claudius wants a triumph.
Bitch!
He can't even hold a sword.
I can! You've seen me exercises.
More wine, Claudius.
Exercises! The people see me.
But no more for Claudius. He's drunk.
So is Drusus. Give Drusus more wine.
What? Why?
He has a habit of making an exhibition of himself in public.
He should be stopped.
No, he should be encouraged.
Why don't we go to another room? A bedroom. There are lots of bedrooms here. Germanicus won't mind. We can celebrate his triumph with one of our own. Hey, give us some more wine. Soften her up. Yeah. That's right. We can take our glasses. Bedroom?
Drusus!
Have you met my wife? Wife Lavilla, I'm sorry I don't know your name. I can't introduce her, I don't know her name.
I gotcha.
Go away, wife. I'll see you later. Perhaps. It doesn't matter, I don't know your name. You know who I am. Emperor's son. Emperor's only real, actual, born of his loins son.
If I read this horoscope right, I'm about to make a great mistake.
Yes, Caesar.
Which will lead to a misfortune.
A great misfortune.
Again, if I read right, Germanicus also will make a mistake.
More than one.
Which will lead to...
Which will be followed by a misfortune.
Oh, I take your point. A sequence is not always a consequence.
But his misfortune may be even greater than yours.
You mean he might even become unpopular? I beg your pardon. My jokes are so rare, no one recognizes them.
Your jokes are difficult, Caesar.
Yes. A mistake.
I'm afraid so.
You're a scientist. Don't use words like afraid. What am I?
The Emperor.
But predestined, I will do what I will do.
Yes.
But the Emperor. So at least my mistakes are my own. Chosen with infinite care.
Wake up, Claudius. Time to go home. Do you want my slaves to carry you?
No.
Whoops.
Agrippina. I apologize for behaving so badly.
You're not the worst.
No, someone no worse than me. Who?
Drusus?
Oh, yes, no, Drusus. Well, that's understandable, isn't it?
Is it?
No. The Emperor's only son, but he won't inherit the empire. Because it's all going to go to Germanicus. Because that's what the divine Augustus ordered.
Go home, Claudius. Go to sleep.
Much the same with me, you know.
Good night.
A thing to do. A thing to look forward to. It won't make me a consul or a general because I don't look it. It's all a question of looking. He's my brother, but Germanicus is not much good with the general. He just looks it, that's all. Well, he just looks it, that's all.
Hail Caesar.
Good morning, Germanicus. The guards may dismiss. We are in no particular danger.
Guards, dismiss.
Won't you join us? If you find your uniform uncomfortable in this heat, do please loosen it. I thought we should discuss what you would like to do next.
Caesar.
We're informal. I am Tiberius.
Tiberius. I have commanded the army of the Rhine for 3 years now.
With notable success?
I am in Rome only because you recalled me.
To celebrate your triumph.
May I now have your instructions to return to Germany immediately and mount my 4th campaign?
That is what you would like to do next?
It is already late May. Unless I start soon, I shan't have enough good fighting weather left.
To do what?
To mount a full-scale offensive against the German tribes.
Ah, yes.
We are on this bank of the Rhine, here. Advance with 8 legions, say here and here. The German tribes will band together here. Defeat them, mop up, and push on to the Elbe, here.
And then?
Occupy the territory.
Through the winter?
Yes.
With 8 legions?
It can be done with 8.
How many casualties do you reckon in this summer campaign?
40%, perhaps 50.
So by winter you would have only 4 legions.
You would send replacements from Rome.
Supposing you received no replacements?
Well, then I would withdraw to winter quarters.
On the Rhine?
Of course.
Where you started from?
Do you want me to win this war, or don't you?
It is possible to win victories. I'm not sure it is possible to win war.
Just give me the men.
Let me put it this way. If you do not attack, if there is no summer campaign, what happens then?
My men will simply sit on their backsides guarding the frontier.
And the German tribes?
Well, if we don't fight them, they'll fight amongst themselves.
And our Roman legions will have no victories and no 50% casualties.
No casualties at all.
Well, gentlemen, I think we've settled the whole German question.
You mean by doing nothing?
Germanicus, every day I spend as the head of the Roman Empire makes me less of a warrior and more of an accountant.
But the Roman Empire lives by the power of its armies.
So let us not bleed the empire to death. Shall we move on? Sir Janus, will you give us your view of the situation in the East?
Our imperial province, Serie.
Tiberius, do I need to...
Value your advice.
To the east, the independent kingdom of Armenia in the mountains, and in the plains, Parthia.
Well, if you want me to conquer Parthia,
Wait till the end.
The Parthians have a formidable number of mounted archers who could easily invade, devastate, and ride home again. There's nothing to stop them.
Except the Roman army.
Except the possibility that the Armenians might come down from the mountains, cut off the Parthians' withdrawal route, and expose them to attack from both sides.
So the answer is?
The answer is to attack.
The answer is to ensure against war with Parthia by placing a friend of Rome on the throne of Armenia.
By force.
By what wins more victories than force at less cost? Diplomacy.
You went right on to offer me the job of Commander-in-Chief in the East.
Commander-in-Chief.
With special powers.
Why?
From Syria, messages take 3 weeks at best. Even longer in winter. It's just not possible to refer things to Rome. They have to be decided by the man on the spot.
I meant, what is in Tiberius's mind?
It seems quite simple.
That man is never simple.
Of course. He wants me as far away from Rome as possible. And it has to be an important job because I'm heir to the throne whether he likes it or not.
So, we go to the east.
We must.
It will serve his purpose. Will it serve ours?
How?
There are 2 great Roman armies. The army in Germany is already yours to a man.
And the army of the East?
Now, the same thing must happen with the army in the East.
Tiberius kept saying he wants to avoid a war. I can hardly believe he means it.
You said yourself, things have to be decided by the man on the spot.
My dear Piso, you are the ideal man for the post.
The Emperor has appointed Germanicus commander-in-chief in the East with special powers. His particular task will be to put our candidate Zeno on the throne of Armenia. And the Armenians want Zeno for their king.
Then the task should be within even Germanicus's powers.
It is possible, however, that the Parthians may object, so the task may be delicate.
And then send someone else.
I have chosen Germanicus. He must learn diplomacy.
What do you want me to do? Teach him?
The greater part of our army in the East is under the direct command of the governor of Syria.
The present governor is a good enough man, but not quite the man for this moment.
You want me to be governor?
Governor and official advisor to Germanicus.
If he's commander-in-chief, will he be in command of me?
Sejanus, with my lawyers, has drawn up a statement of the legal position.
It is not absolutely clear.
Certainly, as an imperial governor, you would be responsible to me.
And the troops are mine, and not Germanicus's?
They are under your command. However, Germanicus is commander-in-chief. However, you are his advisor. However, you are responsible to me. As Sejanus says, the situation is not entirely clear. I prefer it not to be clear, so long as your duty is clear.
You want me to stop Germanicus making a fool of himself, or a fool of you?
I can put it more simply than that. I do not want a war.
In other words, I have to ride Germanicus on a tight rein.
Don't put it in other words. Keep it in my words. I do not want a war. Have I made my mistake?
Yes.
I took 2 decisions today. Which was the mistake?
They were the 2 halves of it.
So, now all I can do is to await my misfortune. Caesar has taken all necessary steps to secure the allegiance of the army to himself and so to the Emperor. He's terse as ever. What steps do you imagine?
Large gifts to the officers, small gifts to the men.
Always a good idea. Did we provide him with money?
He refused. He had no need.
Yes, of course, his wife, Fancina, enormously worthy. What other steps do you imagine?
Some carefully chosen acts of mercy.
Again, good for a quick effect. What else?
And perhaps the dismissal of any commanders who were openly pro-Germanicus.
Yes, that may or may not be a good thing.
Oh?
Depends how Germanicus takes it when he arrives. See, one reason why I want the Empire no larger. How can I, with a month-old report, dictate what shall happen a month from now? The situation is literally beyond my control.
And the soldiers are in good heart?
Never better.
Oh, well, I should like to review them. Perhaps you can arrange it.
Difficult.
Oh, why?
And hardly necessary. I reviewed them myself when I first got here.
Was that necessary?
As their new commander.
Nevertheless, I should like to see them myself, as their new commander-in-chief.
Most of the troops are on the frontier now, or out on exercises.
I hear that you yourself attended the cavalry exercises.
Yes?
Wasn't that rather unusual for a woman?
I hear that you yourself mixed a great deal with the troops in Germany.
Are you imitating me, then?
An army should learn to recognize its commander and its commander's wife.
The army here has done that by now.
Where's Claudius? I'd hoped to see him tonight.
Oh, yes?
An old friend of ours from Germany.
He's on the frontier.
No, on his way back to Rome.
What's that? Why?
I removed him as inefficient.
Claudius? But he was one of my most...
I decided he might be inefficient in obeying my orders in certain circumstances.
And Plancus? And Stertinius?
The same.
He dismissed them. All right, dismiss him. Send him back.
I can't.
You have supreme powers.
Special powers.
What's the difference?
They do not specifically include the power to dismiss the governor of an imperial province.
Do they specifically exclude it?
No.
You could do it. Tiberius couldn't stop you.
Look, you talked about serving our purpose. Well, the best way to do that is to carry out quickly, brilliantly, the task I've been given. To go to Armenia and put Zeno on the throne.
Leaving Piso here?
Oh, forget Piso.
That bitch of a wife who hates us.
I am Piso's superior. We'll start for Armenia, leaving Piso my orders, which he'll have to obey.
Germanicus' orders are as follows. You will immediately send 3 legions to join him at his camp on the frontier with Armenia. The legions will then come under his direct command. They will escort him to the Armenian capital and aid in the installation of the new king.
Escort him?
Yes.
Germanicus already has an escort.
His own bodyguard?
200 men.
About?
What more did he need for a diplomatic mission?
Well, there may be trouble with Armenia.
The less troops, the less trouble.
Germanicus' orders are that you will send 3 legions.
I am Germanicus' advisor. I advise against it.
I can only repeat his orders.
I can only repeat my advice.
Am I to take it then that you are disobeying the Commander-in-Chief's orders?
I am using my judgment as governor appointed by the Emperor.
May I remind you that Germanicus also holds his appointment from the Emperor and is your superior officer.
May I remind you that you are not.
I am his messenger.
Where is the superior officer now?
Marching towards the Armenian frontier.
Go back to him, messenger, and tell him my first duty is to guard this part of the empire against attack. For that I need all my legions. I have none to spare as ornamental bodyguard, even when the body to be guarded is the Emperor's unwillingly adopted son.
I shall report this conversation word for word.
Do that.
So far, so good.
I should like to think so.
Well, Zeno is crowned king of Armenia without a sword drawn in anger, and the eastern front is safe. Isn't that good?
Yes.
All done by Germanicus with just a handful of men at lightning speed. Well, I've misjudged him. He's a diplomat after all.
Read on.
Oh.
And then read Piso's letter. Am I difficult to understand, Sir Janus?
Your instructions are not always clear.
They're not always meant to be, but my intentions are always clear.
Crystal clear.
So clear that no one credits them. There must be another meaning. And they find the intention that they want to find, which is not mine. Well, the eastern frontier is safe. Shall we celebrate while we still have the chance?
The Commander-in-Chief in the East, Germanicus Caesar.
Morning.
Since you refuse to come to me?
A protocol. In Syria, I am the Emperor's representative.
Since we meet whatever the place. I gave you orders to send 3 legions to Armenia. You did not do so. Rather than charge you immediately with failing to comply with an order, I request an explanation.
But you may charge me later.
I may.
Go ahead. I'll save the explanation.
The charge is already drawn up for use if necessary.
Leave a copy when you go.
I should prefer to observe the normal courtesies.
You want an explanation?
Yes.
Right. In 4 words, your statement is false. In what way? You say you gave me orders.
Yes.
False. You sent them.
I gave you orders.
You sent a messenger.
Via my deputy chief of staff.
Which I delivered to Piso in exactly your own words.
Your turn to explain. Why didn't you give them in person?
I was on my way to Armenia, as you know.
As I was told after you'd left.
All this is irrelevant.
Is it? I'll show you something that's relevant. The terms of my appointment by the Emperor as advisor to the Commander-in-Chief in the East. I am required to give the Commander-in-Chief my best counsel on any question.
My terms do not bind me to accept your advice.
But mine require me to give it. I gave it as soon as I could.
Your advice took the form of refusing to act as ordered.
Good advice. Proved right in the event.
The event is not an excuse.
It's not meant as one. I was right, that's all.
Do you deny the Commander-in-Chief is your superior?
It depends what you mean by superior.
That it is your duty to obey.
Don't talk to me about duty. I was doing my duty before you were born.
Do you or do you not deny?
What would you have done with the 3 legions? Started a war?
I was not to know that the Armenian question would be settled peacefully.
Advice from your advisor. If you intend to settle peacefully, don't go in like an invading army.
It might have been necessary to impress the Armenians with a show of strength.
But it was not.
I said it might have been.
It might have impressed the Parthians, too.
Yes, and why not?
Roman army in Armenia, ready to swoop down on the plains. If you were the Parthian king, what would you do? Attack first.
If the Parthians had attacked, we would have defeated them.
And suppose he'd attacked not you, but me. An undefended Syria.
We'd have come down and cut them off.
And earned yourself another triumph. Now I know why you wanted my army.
Look, Give me a chair. Forgive me, I've been unwell. A fever. Piso, I am willing to... Vitellius.
The Commander-in-Chief is willing to drop the charge on condition he receives your apology and that you withdraw the insults you have uttered against him.
Insults? What insults?
You referred to the Commander-in-Chief in my presence as the Emperor's unwillingly adopted son. Unwillingly.
Is that an insult? I thought it was common knowledge.
Apologize.
As often as you like. If it does you any good.
Germanicus wrote to me too.
Saying he was ill?
Yes, and asking me to dismiss Piso.
Have you replied?
I replied that I would reveal the situation after his recovery.
Did you read his last paragraph?
Yes.
About magic?
His mind was wandering.
Yes, but if Germanicus thinks...
Then he's a fool.
Yes, I know.
Oh, yes, we are two sensible men. Science exists, magic does not.
But since Germanicus thinks it does, even though it doesn't, people can make their illnesses worse by imagining things.
Germanicus has a fever. Had a fever a month ago. By now he's recovered.
Does Thrasilla say that? I mean, he can read the future. Can't he read what's happening now?
Thrasillus is not being as explicit as usual.
Search the house.
The slaves are searching it.
There's something. I know there's something.
They'll find it.
The story is they've searched his house, poked into the walls, taken up the floor.
And found?
Sheep's bones, which they say are human remains, charred and bloody ashes from some old cookhouse fire, and a lead tablet inscribed with a curse. They can't read what it says, so it must be a curse.
Who did the finding?
His slaves. Her slaves. She's the master.
So they find what Agrippina wants them to find?
Yes.
The more Germanicus believes it, the worse for him.
Poison! Find the poisoner.
The slaves in the kitchen. Torture them till one confesses.
I'll see to it.
Someone bribed by Piso and Plancido.
No.
Perennius. Write to Piso. I'll sign it.
Yes.
Ordering him to leave Syria.
Tomorrow.
Since he orders me to go, I shall go.
Tomorrow.
And if he dies, I shall come back.
Am I to feel honored at being called to the palace?
I have a letter from Germanicus.
Well, send that man away.
No.
Send him away.
Why?
You are going to ask me if I am responsible for Germanicus' illness.
Yes.
Whether, in fact, I arranged to have him poisoned.
And you are going to answer no.
Of course.
Why shouldn't Sir Janus hear your denial?
I do not care to be interrogated in front of a commoner.
Now that we're alone, then?
The answer is still no.
You have a reputation for arranging poisonings.
I've had a good many people put to death one way or another over the past 60 years. Some for Augustus's sake, some for yours. But not this one.
You are also thought to be an accomplished liar.
You can believe me or not as you please.
Mother, you do understand that this one's death would not be for my sake?
Tell Tiberius I was loyal.
I'll tell him.
And tell Tiberius how I died. Murdered by Piso and his wife.
And his wife is a witch.
Bring them to trial.
We will.
If you love me, not for my rank, but for myself, avenge me.
We swear it.
I must speak to my wife.
Agrippina,
you're in danger.
I don't care.
You must care. For yourself and for our children.
The whole empire will mourn your death. Will honor me because I'm your widow. Our children because they're your children.
Darling, forget your pride.
No.
Don't make an enemy of him.
Tiberius.
Our children must live to be emperors. Don't make an enemy of Tiberius.
Germanicus is dead. I have my misfortune. Agrippina, with Germanicus's ashes, will be escorted across Italy by 2 battalions of the Praetorian Guard.
They're under orders.
The ashes will be preceded by standard bearers carrying unadorned standards and reversed axes. The people of every town through which the procession passes will wear mourning.
They're wearing it already, everywhere.
I'm not concerned with what they are doing. I'm concerned with what they must do. Drusus, as Germanicus's brother, you will meet the procession at Terracina and march with it to Rome.
Yes, Father.
It will be a ceremony of some sort. The pontiffs are arranging it. Is that clear?
Yes, Father.
No? State funeral?
No.
Is that wise? I mean, I know you're always wise, but they expect it.
Who are they?
Well, the people I talk to. People in the street.
Germanicus was a Roman soldier who died on active service. The ceremony will be simple.
But a member of the imperial family.
Which observes a dignified moderation, even in grief.
Tiberius. Are you yourself?
Be quiet, Claudius. You said enough.
Are you and Grandmother Livia attending the ceremony?
Livia will, of course, do as she thinks best.
I shall mourn in private.
So shall I.
Revenge.
We are equally at a loss. Your stars will not allow you to forecast events. My system of communications will not allow me to govern them. I learned by successive messengers that Piso has left Syria, that he has re-entered it and been captured by Germanicus' men. So now they will send him back to Rome. How will things turn out then? Can you predict, or will you continue to be prudently enigmatic?
Your misfortune only began with the death of Germanicus. It has not yet ended. I do not see the end.
If you had said anything else, I would have had you killed as a liar. I understand the charges. They're set out skillfully.
Piso and his wife must be brought to justice.
Certainly justice must be done.
You know what Augustus would have done. He'd have had them put to death the moment they set foot in Rome.
As I never tire of explaining, I am not Augustus. Let me say it for you, and never will be.
I'm glad you admit it.
Poor Agrippina. Of Augustus's own blood in the direct line. Is it very frustrating no longer to be the next emperor?
I loved Germanicus.
Yes. Everyone tells me he had the quality of being lovable.
And I will see him avenged whether you want it or not.
My wants do not enter into it.
Then you will hold an inquiry.
Your request is granted.
And you will take charge of the inquiry yourself.
Is that an order or a second request?
A second request.
Oh, yes, I see the point. Whichever way the coin comes down, I am the loser. If I find them not guilty, it is because I am protecting them. If I find them guilty, it is because I am protecting myself by placing all the blame on them. I shall consider your second request.
Tiberius, you will not dare protect them.
I shall proceed in an orderly fashion. I have an orderly mind. I would have made an excellent librarian.
Yes.
Let us be sorry for each other. We have both of us missed our vocation.
Caesar?
Bring in Piso and Plancina, and then stay. I don't want it said that I've seen them alone. Good morning, Plancina.
Caesar?
Good morning, Piso. I have here a list of charges brought against you by Agrippina. My secretaries will supply you with copies.
What does she accuse us of?
Bribery, incitement to murder, mutiny.
She's mad.
I cannot refuse an inquiry.
What sort of inquiry?
Agrippina has requested that I should conduct it myself.
Oh, that's all right then.
You would prefer that too?
I was only worried you might refer it to the Senate.
Oh, why?
Those fools. Half of them live in fear of the mob.
What they call popular opinion.
And popular opinion has made up its mind that Germanicus was a hero, and we're traitors and murderers and every other crime in the calendar.
I pay no attention to popular opinion.
Good.
But you understand, I must show myself to be impartial.
Of course.
We've nothing to hide. Whatever accusations they bring, we can answer them.
Easily.
I'm happy to hear it.
Hold your inquiry. The sooner the better. Let's get it over.
To continue my thought, I've decided the best way of showing impartiality, since doubts have been cast on my good faith, will be by taking no part in the inquiry myself. I shall refer the whole matter to the Senate.
But good God!
Since you can answer the accusations, you have nothing to fear.
He's doing the sensible thing, of course.
Knowing that he can overrule the Senate whenever he wants to.
No, he can't overrule. He can mitigate the sentence, if there is a sentence.
Well, there's bound to be a sentence.
The inquiry hasn't even started yet.
Can he mitigate a sentence of death?
If he sees good reason.
So he can overrule?
He wouldn't dare. If Piso's released, the mob will lynch him. Probably lynch Tiberius, too.
Are you talking treason?
I'm simply saying what would happen.
Drusus, will he overrule?
Look, I hold no particular brief for my father. I'm closer to you than I am to him. Germanicus was my adopted brother, my wife his sister.
We loved him as much as anyone.
As much as me.
Agrippina, all I'm trying to do is explain the legal position. Mercy is the prerogative of the emperor.
Are you practicing to be emperor already?
That's a wicked thing to say.
And you think you're going to be empress?
And I think my father's quite right to have the inquiry thrown open like this. To show everyone what the truth of the matter is. Don't you agree?
The Senate has asked him to produce his correspondence with you. Since the main point of his defense will be that he was acting under your orders, he naturally wishes to prove what these orders were. Since the correspondence was private, he feels he cannot do so without your permission.
He has a point. The case for the prosecution is complete. You have 6 days to prepare your defense.
I've only one defense. I carried out your orders.
We are old men. We can speak plainly to each other.
I carried out your orders.
Some wine?
Thank you.
I'm becoming more of a drinker. I find it dulls the edge of living.
Are you going to help me?
You need help?
Good God, you've heard them. Vitellius and Verenius ranting away.
If they do not carry conviction?
You should be me going home at night with a guard of 50 men, or the mob would tear me to pieces.
Are you afraid of the mob?
The Senate is.
The Senate is a collection of human beings who individually are prey to human emotions, including fear. But they often arrive at a kind of wisdom.
They decided to condemn me before this inquiry started. Is that their wisdom?
You slander them too soon. They've not yet heard your defense.
My defense is I carried out your orders.
Then I will help you to the very limit of my possibilities.
Thank you, Caesar.
Let us examine where you need help. More wine.
Thank you.
The charge of bribery.
I gave the troops extra pay.
Oh. Many another commander has done on taking over.
It's normal.
The charge is answered by quoting precedent. What's next? Dismissal?
A load of rubbish.
I agree. You were acting within your powers. The charge needs no answering. Insults? Treasonable insult?
Ha!
Did I instruct you to insult Germanicus?
If a man's a fool, I call him a fool.
It's of no great consequence. The insults were hardly treasonable. The charge fails in law. What else?
The nonsense about murder.
I agree. Sheer fantasy, the feeble, fevered mind. You don't need any help to refute it.
No, but people will go on believing the worst.
About you and about me, we're in the same boat. Anything else?
Rejoicing at his death.
Did you in fact rejoice?
Yes.
On my instructions?
Because he was a puffed-up nincompoop and I was glad he was dead. The best thing that could happen for the Empire.
I'm sorry you rejoiced.
I behave as I feel.
Then you are my mistake. I chose the wrong man.
Well, you chose me. You've got to stand by me.
Rejoicing was an error, but not a crime. If it is proved, I shall be obliged to renounce your friendship, but I can hardly allow you to be punished.
That's good enough for me.
Well, we seem to have settled everything without your needing to quote our correspondence.
One more thing.
Yeah?
The last charge. Armed re-entry into Syria.
Oh, yes. Of course, I'd forgotten. That, of course, was not on my instructions.
I wrote to you telling you.
By the time I heard you'd left Syria, you'd already re-entered it.
To establish myself as governor again, on your behalf.
A legal point. By leaving your province without my permission, you forfeited your powers as governor and became an ordinary citizen. By re-entering the province with an armed force, however small, you were technically guilty of treason.
What?
I cannot defend you on this point. You have no defense. And if you are found guilty, as you will be, I cannot mitigate your punishment.
What do you mean, cannot? The Senate will do whatever you tell them.
I sent you to the east to keep the peace. With the Armenian question settled, the peace was no longer in danger. You, by re-entering Syria, tried to provoke a civil war.
On your behalf?
On behalf of your own vanity, Piso. You chose to misunderstand my intentions.
Shall I show our correspondence?
I am not open to blackmail.
Shall I show it?
I thought I had already explained that it would not help you. May I add that it would not help your family after your death?
He has abandoned us. Well, are you with me? Are you with me?
I saw Livia. She's sworn to save my life.
Go and be saved.
I shall ask the Senate to accept that Germanicus' death has been adequately avenged.
And Plancina.
I shall say that you yourself have begged that your friend Plancina should be spared. I shall make it clear that this is your request and not mine, and that the request is deeply embarrassing to me.
They are docile. They will spare her.
May I make it clear to you that this is your last act of power?
I am an empress still.
You've been an empress too long, for Rome and for me.
I made you emperor.
Do you know who died a week ago? My first wife. My only real wife, Lipsania. The wife you made me divorce 30 years ago so that I could marry Augustus' whore of a daughter. So that I could stand in the line of succession. That was the moment when my life took the wrong turning at your command.
I did not know you were capable of love.
I was then. I am not now.
Well, love is for fools. Like Germanicus. An emperor does not need it.
I have no choice. I must go forward along the wrong turning. Do you know the result of this affair, Mother? The deaths are laid at my door. I am blamed for Germanicus' death, for Piso's death too. I shall be blamed for Plancina's release. From now on, whatever I do will inspire nothing but suspicion, resentment, and hate.
But you will go forward.
I shall add to the pile by hating you, Mother, at a distance. I shall not see you again.
We can do without each other. You are trained.
Well, Sir Janus, at least the situation is simplified.
Yes.
I can no longer vainly hope to be liked. Very well. Let them all hate me. So long as they fear me.